Well, I am so happy to have as my special guest today the very talented Mikey Thompson, better known as Mikey. Now, you hear a lot of Mikey's music here on KWMV. I know I play his songs quite often on my show, and I just love his sense of humor and catchy refrains reflected in so many of his songs. He is one of my all-time favorites. Mikey, thank you for coming in today and taking the time to talk with me and to the KWMV radio audience.
Well, hey there, Alice.
Well, howdy.
Have I got that down pat?
You got it down.
Yeah.
You got it down.
Yeah, that's my favorite line on your show.
But before we get started, I'd like to thank my producer and husband of this, Todd. He's so excited to meet you for manning the soundboard. Todd, say howdy do.
Howdy do.
Well, howdy do, Todd.
Mikey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good for an old fella.
We're so happy to have you here. It just
Well,
means the world to us.
I appreciate you asking me over. I don't know if I have anything interesting to talk
Yes,
about,
you
but
do.
we'll sure talk.
We got a lot to talk. Well, I guess we'll get. We're going to do the early background and influences. Mikey, I knew you grew up across the river in Izard County. And can you tell us a little bit about it, what it was like growing up in the Ozarks? I understand that your family has been here for generations.
They have. Fact is, I'm distantly related to a boy that plays out at the Folk Center by the name of Robert Gillahan, who descended from the very first family in Izard County, the Jeffreys. And it's distant, but we are related. He don't like to claim it, but we are.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Well, that is something. And you also Jimmy Driftwood. I remember you. There's
Jimmy Driftwood, yes. I was sitting out the barn one day talking to Cleta and Jimmy, and just out of the clear blue, she said, "Mikey, do you know anything about the origin of your family?" And I said, "Well," I said, "just from what I've been told by my dad, you know," I said, "they came over from Ireland, scattered down into Virginia and North Carolina, and then sometime in the 1800s they moved into Middle Tennessee around Warren County and Bledsoe County." And she said, "Did you say Warren County?" And I said, "I did." She said, "That's where Jimmy's grandmother was a Thompson," and said, "That's where her dad was from."
That's wild.
And she said, "I just bet you and Jim are related some way." And she asked me what my great-great-grandfather's name was, and I told her. And she said she'd been doing genealogy for years, and she knew everything about everything when it came to genealogy. And she did it the hard way back before there was ever any computers around, you know. And I saw them old, must have been a month later, and she said, "You and Jim are related." She said, "It's distant." She said, "But the best I can tell, your great-great-grandfather and Jimmy's great-grandfather were third cousins. So that makes me and Jimmy fifth, sixth, I don't know, something like that."
Your kinfolk, though.
Yeah, you know, and I thought it was pretty cool, you know, just
Absolutely.
be in the same family tree with old Jim, because
Yeah.
he was a fine fella.
You can't beat that tree.
No, you
Oh
can't.
my
No.
gosh.
That musical line just flows through the
Yeah,
bloodline.
you
Well,
got that
doesn't it?
DNA going.
I kind of got it from both sides of the family. Yeah, you know. I had an uncle on my mother's side, but he played a completely different style of music. He'd moved to Detroit, Michigan years and years ago, right after World War II, and he played in one of the big bands. He was a guitar player. Fact is, I have his guitar at home. He left it to me because I was the only one of his nephews that played. He never had any kids, so he left me his guitar. But and I don't get it out around here because they shoot people with electric guitars around here. Anyway, that's what I've been told.
They want you unplugged.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of electric guitar music on KWMV, is there?
No, only on one that I know of, and that's one of my songs. And David Campbell, out the studio, had an old 1947 Gibson hollow body single pickup, and I was just dying to get my hands on it. And I talked James Cornwell into letting me play the break on that song on that guitar. He didn't want me to, but he said, I think we'd better use an acoustic on that. And I said, I got to play that guitar just one time. And we played it on just that one song.
Which song was that?
Standing at the Crossroads.
Well, let's take a listen to Standing at the Crossroads and keep an ear out for that Gibson hollow body single pickup guitar break.
If tomorrow is the healer, when yesterday is the pain, how can so many things change and somehow still be the same? She appears out of nowhere and floats away with the breeze and leaves me standing at the crossroads of an old memory. Where do my yesterdays go when they pass on by? Are they like words of an old song that for a while slip your mind? They blow away on the winds of time and find their way back to me, standing at the crossroads of an old memory. Does my mind send a message that makes her return? Am I the one who holds the match to a fire that still burns? Where can one lay the blame for a heart that can't be free, that's always standing at the crossroads of an old memory? Where do my yesterdays go when they pass on by? Are they like words of an old song that for a while slip your mind? They blow away on the winds of time and find their way back to me, standing at the crossroads of an old memory. They blow away on the winds of time and find their way back to me, standing at the crossroads of an old memory.
Standing at the crossroad, okay.
Yeah. About the only thing James would let me play on. He did all the musical arrangement on everything I recorded. Well, Timmy Crouch did some of it too, but James did the most of it.
The arrangements on all those songs are,
James,
all the albums are amazing.
Yeah.
James was
Really
a musical
good.
genius. Yeah. You know, J.C. Bonds and I were talking about that, and he brought something up that I remember seeing James do myself. James would sit down in a circle to play, and he would wait till everybody else started playing. Then he would start reaching around, turning the keys on their instruments because he would hear something that didn't sound right. And no one ever said a thing to him.
Nobody got offended
No,
or just...
because they knew he knew what. And there was a couple of those guys that he did that to that were kind of temperamental, you know, and but they never said anything, you know.
Because he probably had that reputation. He was genius.
Oh yeah, he was just a fantastic musician.
Yeah.
He played on just about everything JC recorded too.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, JC, he was like me. He still misses him. You know?
Yeah, I had kind of was going to ask that probably the last question, but we can talk about it. It sounded like with both you and JC that James Cornwell really made contributions and that he was a real integral part of y'all. And
Right.
if you want to elaborate further,
Well,
that'd be great.
Well, you know, I told James, and it was late 1990, I said, James, I said, I think I'm going to go out and do some demos, you know. And I said, I may go to Drasco. And he said, no. He said, let's go out to Dave Campbell's. He said, so we went out to Dave's. And it was early 1991, James and I went out and started laying down the tracks for the songs. And I seen I was going to have so many that I figured, well, I'm just going to do an album. Then we ended up doing 3 albums. And, yeah, James, I'm glad he took me out to David because David's really a great guy. Dave Campbell.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, he really is.
We've got some good music of his too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sent Joe all of David's stuff off of his album. And,
I like
he
that.
plays
Everybody's got a song.
Everybody's got a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
David wrote those songs.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's a great tune. It's a nice upbeat song.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Yeah, but David, he's really a good guy.
Now he had the studio out in Fox.
I know at Timbo.
Oh, in Timbo rather. Okay.
It's not going now. He closed it down. But David pastored the church, the big Assembly of God church on the right-hand side as you're going into Timbo. The biggest church in Timbo. But I think David's pretty well retired from that now. He's really a super good guy. And I always said anybody that didn't like Dave Campbell just didn't like people.
Well, let's get back to early influences. So, how did you get your start in music? And we talked a little bit about your musical family. Obviously, it's in the bloodstream. But
my dad showed me one chord on the guitar. He didn't want me to play.
Why?
He was afraid I'd end up playing in those little honky-tonks all my life like he did.
Dives and...
Yeah. And he showed me one chord and he said, if you really want to play, you learn the rest of them yourself. Well, I did. I just kind of felt him out, you know. He wouldn't even buy me a book.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how long were you practicing to get so good? Because you were doing this on your own.
Well, I was about 15 when I really started getting into it, you know. Well, I never met my dad until I was 15.
Ah.
Yeah. If you listen to that song, Daddy's Traveling Shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a true song. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
But when you met him, did you get along?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah. So he introduced you to one chord.
so what chord was it?
It was a D chord.
A D chord, okay.
Yeah. Showed me a D chord.
D chord, okay.
Yeah.
All right, then you learned the G and the C and the A.
Yeah. And I even learned the bar chord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't do them anymore, but cut my wrist in 1980 and I lost a lot of the dexterity in my hand. You know, I can still make the chords, but I just can't change them fast enough anymore, you know. But, yeah, that was a nightmare when that happened. Cut all those tendons in my wrist.
Makes me sad. It was an accident.
Yeah, did it with a big grinder.
Oh, no. Have to learn to play left-handed?
No, I still chord. Thank God for capo.
There you go.
So as a kid, what kind of music did you listen to?
Country music. It's been that all the way through.
That's what
Country
I
music
remember you saying.
and bluegrass.
You always
right.
liked it.
I never was a big-time rock and roll fan.
Yeah.
You know, I like people like Creedence Clearwater when
Yeah,
they came along.
I like Southern rock.
Poco and people like that.
Leonard
you know.
Skinner.
Yeah,
That's
I like
my
some of
favorite.
his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah, all the
Right.
South.
Tucker.
Southern rockers.
So I'm
Allman
into-
Brothers, Charlie Daniels.
That's why I
Yeah.
like Southern rock. And people say, well, what about the Rolling Stones? I say they ain't from the South.
No.
And did you get in a band?
I did. The first band I played in, I was about 17 years old.
Wow.
And that was at Kennett, Missouri. And it was kind of funny because this guy knew I wasn't of age, but he let me in there to play with it. And every time the band would take an intermission, he would make me sit up on the stage. He wouldn't let me get off the stage and mingle with the crowd or anything because he was afraid he might get busted for me being in there,
Yeah.
which he probably would have.
Could have.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
That was wild. Now, how was your mom about letting you do that? Or she
Well,
didn't know?
I was living with my uncle down
Oh,
around Piggott, Arkansas.
yeah.
Rector, Arkansas. And it was an experience.
Yeah, I bet it
I
was.
bet it was fun.
And I
though.
think the old boy finally he started getting on, you know, he was scared to death. He finally, he told the guy that had the band, he said, you're going to have to replace him. He said, I'm just scared to death they're going to bust me for him being in here. Which they may have.
They might have, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you guys play? Country music?
Yeah, country music, just old honky-tonk music.
That had to be fun.
Love
though.
it.
Yeah.
When you were first starting out in the throes of it, did you meet anybody famous that perhaps helped mentor you or
No,
anyone
I
that
never
gave you
really.
advice?
No, but you know, after my dad seen it, I was really serious.
How was he?
He kind of warmed up to it a little bit, you know, and but you know, he was still worried to death that I was going to end up playing in honky tonks, and I did. You know, but yeah, but he's still my favorite singer, my daddy.
Your daddy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he played honky tonks.
Oh
as well?
yeah. He lived out on the West Coast for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out, you know.
Did you follow him out to California?
Yeah,
at one point?
I went out to California and with him back in that must have been 1965.
He must
Yeah,
have been
wow.
really proud of you. You know, you did it on your own.
Well, you know, like I say, he warmed up to it, you know, but
Yeah.
in the beginning, he still did. He didn't want me to play.
Yeah.
He did not want me to play. Yeah. That's kind of what separated my mother and he, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just being on the road all the time.
Well, he wasn't on the road. He was just, Daddy was still young and wild when they got married, you know. And still had a lot of oats to sow, I guess. But that first line in that song, Daddy's Traveling, she said, Daddy left Mama before I was born. Well, that's a true song.
And this is probably the right time to play Daddy's Traveling Shoes by Mikey Thompson.
Daddy left Mama before I was born in 1950. Early one morning, she said he'd done us a favor when he flew the coop. Daddy left me his traveling shoes. I tried him on in 1964. Packed my clothes and I hit the door. Set off with the old and on with the new. I just had to try out Daddy's traveling shoes. They fit me real good and I wore them well. I know I must have put my mama through hell. That good woman, Lord, she made it through. And I was putting the miles in Daddy's traveling shoes. Well, I finally met Daddy in 65. And Lord, it was just like Mama described. He picked that guitar, he drove them old trucks. He drank a lot of whiskey and he sure lived good. Lots of ways I'm just like him, Lord, and that's bad news. Daddy left me his traveling shoes. I met Judy Ann when I was 19. We raised 5 babies and the years were lean. Felt like my neck was hung in a noose, 'cause I was still wearing Daddy's traveling shoes. 2 little boys and 3 little girls, drug them halfway around the world, like little stray puppy dogs running loose, always stepping on the heels of Daddy's traveling shoes. Sit down, children, listen to me, to the only words of wisdom that I'll ever speak. No matter what direction in life you choose, hope you never wear your daddy's traveling shoes. Here it is, 1991, and without a doubt I'm my father's son, picking that guitar, driving them trucks, drinking that whiskey and living rough. I'm sorry, good people, if I give you the blues, but Daddy left me his traveling shoes. Yeah, Daddy left me his traveling shoes. Let's travel on out of here, boys.
Give us a little background around that song.
Well, I came up with the idea for that song probably, in the early 80s, you know. And it's just, you know, how I became so much like my dad, you know, in later years. And, but I ran off from home, found him. And when I found him, he was down in around Sykeston, Charleston, Missouri. He was playing in a honky-tonk down there. And my uncle told him, my mother's brother, they had, even though they were ex-brother-in-laws, they'd remained friends for years. Wow. And he told me where he was, my uncle. And he called him. And he came down there. And when he came down, I went with him when he left. And we stayed in Missouri for, a month or two, and went to California. Went to Brawley, California. And I remember Dad started playing in a nightclub called the Red Barn in Brawley, California.
The Red Barn.
Yeah, and he put me in school. And he left, one night he left to go play at that club. Well, I left the house and I walked to that club. And out behind it, there was a window, and there was a bunch of garbage cans back there. And I was standing up on them garbage cans looking through that window watching them play, you know. And the guy that owned the place came out there and put something in one of those garbage cans, see me out there, and he said, "What are you doing out here?" I told him, I said, "That's my dad in there playing." He said, he said, "You don't need to stand up there. I'm afraid you'll fall off that thing and hurt yourself, you know." But he told Dad about that. Boy, Dad got mad. He said, "Don't you ever come down there again like that, you know." He said, "You're supposed to be in bed asleep. You got to go to school tomorrow, you know." And yeah. But we stayed in California for some time. And then Dad got to wanting to go back to Kentucky for a while. That's where he was. Dad was born in Livingston County, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And but we went back to Kentucky.
And did you play together ever?
We did in later years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
That's great. I bet he liked that and enjoyed that. Did, yeah, I'm sure he did.
In fact, we played together in a honky-tonk out in California.
Those honky-tonks can be fun, right? Did you ever get kicked out?
No, but I've seen some good fights.
Did you ever play Traveling Shoes for him?
I sent him a copy. He was living in California. I sent him copies of those albums. And he got a big kick out of it. He thought it was funny.
When did you start writing your songs?
Your own songs.
Well, I started writing songs probably late 60s, early 70s. In fact, the first song that I really wrote and finished that song, Back Roads in Arkansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and it just kind of went from there, and then I wrote some along the way, more in the 80s, early 90s. But I decided, I wanted to, make demos on my songs and start trying to pitch them. And I was still on the road then. I was driving truck at that time. And I was coming through Nashville, and this truck stop I used to stop at, buy fuel. I talked a guy out of an old Nashville phone directory and had all the publishing companies in Nashville listed in it. I spent a fortune on my phone bill for a while, getting told no, you can't send us no songs, and I started doing demos out at David's, and there'd been a guy coming out there recording himself. He was a songwriter from down at Nebraska, and a good songwriter. He wrote, in fact, his name was Melvin Inslee, and he's the one that wrote that big hit song Marty Robbins had out in the 50s called Singing the Blues, and wrote a song Stonewall Jackson had, Why I'm Walking. Melvin was a really good songwriter, and I called him and talked to him, told him, I was start pitching songs, He said, well, he said, I can give you a little advice. He said, make sure everything you have is copyrighted, and make sure you join a performing rights organization like BMI or ASCAP. So I joined BMI. There's a waiting period when you file for copyrights and everything. But, I still sent the songs because the copyrights were pending. And I told Jimmy Driftwood, I told him I was going to start pitching my song. He said, well, let me know what happens. I said, okay. And I saw him sometime later, and he said, are you doing any good with your songs? Are you still sending them? I said, when I can find somebody to listen to them, let me send them. I said, they don't want to take unsolicited material, He said, but, I said, the ones that I have, I've sent the songs to quite a few people over there. I said, I could probably paper my wall right now with all the rejection letters I've got, And he said, I have an old friend over there that has a publishing company. Told me his name. He said, give him a call and said, tell him I told you to call. I said, okay. He told me his name, It was Denny Music Group, Nashville. They right off Music Road over in Nashville. Well, I called, and this little old gal answered the phone. And I said, could I speak to Mr. Denny? She said, he's not taking any calls today. I said, I wanted to see if he'd let me send some songs. She said, we don't take unsolicited material. I said, Jimmy Driftwood told me to call. She said, just a moment. Well, a few seconds later,
He came on.
he came on the phone.
Boom.
He said, what can I do for you? And I said, Mr. Denny, Jimmy Driftwood told me to call you. And he said, well, how's old Jim doing? He goes through all that rigmarole. And he said, what can I do for you? And I said, well, Jimmy said you might let me send you a couple songs. He said, I have staff writers. And most of those publishing companies do have staff writers. He said, I don't usually take unsolicited material. He said, but since Jimmy had you call me, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll make an exception and let you send me a couple songs. He said, but this is just a one-time thing now. I said, okay. He said, but regardless, he said, if I take any of them or not, I have a friend over here on 17th Avenue by the name of Johnny Drake that runs a company called Al Jolson Black and White Music. Said, now, he might be receptive to you sending some songs, I said, okay. So I wrote that name down where I wouldn't forget it, Well, I sent them 2 songs. They took one of them.
What did you send him?
I sent him Gum Springs Hill and Dusty Ozark Road.
Okay.
And he took the one I didn't think he'd take.
All right, let's take a listen to the 2 songs Mikey sent to Denny Music, Dusty Ozark Road and Gum Springs Hill. Which one would you have selected if you were Mr. Denny?
I know the miles behind me are just a few. What's ahead? And it brings to mind something that some wise man once said. Rolling stone gathers no more, and if nothing's gained, nothing's lost. For the wrong you've done to others, you will forever be the cause. This old highway seems so endless, Lord, the miles, they just drag on. There's not a day goes by that in my mind I don't find my way back home. Back down that dusty Ozark gravel road, back to 1959. when I was just a young boy with a faraway look in my eyes, born with a wanderlust burning deep down in my soul, who couldn't wait to look beyond that dusty Ozark road. There's nothing in the world as quiet as lonesome at night, alone on some dark highway, waiting on that morning light. It gives you lots of time to remember, and sometimes that's not good. You start wishing you could change the wrong you've done. God knows you would if you could. Now your life is just like shifting sand, Lord, today they just drag on. But I know what I'd do if I could go back in time, down that path that leads back home. Back down that dusty Ozark gravel road, back to 1959. I'd erase that far-away look from a young boy's eye, and I'd take away that wanderlust burning deep down in his soul, so he'd never ever look beyond that dusty Ozark road. Lord, I wish I'd never look beyond that dusty Ozark road. Against all odds we've stayed together now for so long, you and I, through the good times and the sad times, we laughed and we cried. But if I should be the first to go, if I should leave you behind, I'm gonna tell you where it could be good if you would be so kind. So lay me down, little darling, where the plastic flowers grow, high upon a hilltop where the soft breezes blow. There beside the old folks where the night time is still, beneath that tall red oak tree up on Gum Springs Hill. Please don't grieve for too long, darling, if I should go away. You know how I've always been, I never was the kind to stay. But when it comes your time, if you wish to come back to me, you won't have far to go, girl, you know where I'll be. I'll be there waiting, little darling, where the plastic flowers grow, high upon a hilltop where the soft breezes blow. Listen for your footsteps when the night time is still, beneath that tall red oak tree up on Gum Springs Hill. We'll meet again, little darling, where the plastic flowers grow. Up on a hilltop where the soft breezes blow. Together forever when the night time is still. Beneath that tall red oak tree up on Gum Springs Hill. Beneath that tall red oak tree up on Gum Springs Hill.
You know, I said, well, if he takes either one of them, it'll be Dusty Ozark Road, you know.
And he didn't take that one.
No, he took the other one.
Yeah, I know your favorite song is Gum Springs.
Yeah, I call that our song, my wife and I. Gum Springs is our family cemetery. I have 5 generations of family buried there. We've already got our stone up there. It's already there waiting on us, you know. Yeah, and it even has a verse of that song on the back of it. But yeah, 5 generations of family, Gum Springs Hill. And that's why I was so surprised that publishing company took that song, you know, because it was really a personal song. And it was recorded in 2012 by a bluegrass group called Hickory Wind. And it just blew me away when I found out where they were from. They're from Uruguay.
Bluegrass group from Uruguay?
I never even knew they played bluegrass music in that part of the world.
That is crazy story.
Montevideo, Uruguay.
Wow.
And
in South America.
And what really blew me away is when I heard my song in a Latino accent. Yeah, that really blew me away.
Did they translate it, or was it?
No, it was in English.
It was in English.
It's kind of broken, but it's there. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I put it on my YouTube channel. I have my own YouTube channel.
What's the YouTube channel?
It's called You Are on the Hill.
For those listening to the interview, how would they get to it?
The best way to find that channel is right in Stone County Jail, because I'm the only one on YouTube that has a song with that title.
There you go.
I just want to prove what John Prine told me a few years later. He said, just because someone doesn't like your song doesn't mean that someone else is not gonna.
Yeah.
Know? He said, you know, you just got to keep plugging.
Yeah.
And John used to come in the store I managed over here, Rainbow Antique Mall. I managed that store for several years. And John used to come in every year. He'd come up here twice a year to go fishing, you know, around Labor Day,
cool.
you know.
Well, he sounds like a great guy.
Oh, he was. Never forgot anybody's name.
Really?
Yeah, he'd travel the world year round, meet thousands of people, and he'd walk in the store and call me by name, you know, and it just blew me away. Yeah, really a great guy.
Did you ever play your music for him?
I gave him a copy of each one of my cassettes.
Did you?
He said, well, he said, I'll listen. He said, if I hear anything on there I think somebody might like, I'll play it for them.
I think they're so great.
Well, my song, most of them I live, you know.
Yeah, that's what makes them interesting.
And, you know, I got ideas from things that other people say, like Stone County Jail. That was from
That's my favorite.
That's a story someone told me. It lived here in Stone County. They passed away several years back. He told me that story, and I kind of.
I love that song.
And then the 2 for the price of 1. I was somewhere on the road, and I see a big old sign that said, "Get 2 for the price of 1." I thought, wow, that'd be a good song title.
That is.
I know. Well, let's take a listen to Mikey Thompson's Stone County Jail, my all-time favorite.
Rolling down Gator Road doing 95 from a weekend run to the county line. I've got a Coca-Cola chaser with a 5th of Jack, some spearmint gum, and 3 6-packs. Just flew past city limits sign, everything seemed to be going just fine. And the blue lights flash, sirens wail, looks like I'm headed for the Stone County Jail. Look here in the mirror, well ain't this cute? It's highway patrol in hot pursuit. Pulls me to the side and says to me, think we need to test your sobriety. Walk this line, put your finger on your nose, raise your right leg and stand on your toes. You better get you a lawyer, son, you just failed, and I'm taking you to the Stone County Jail. Looky here in the mirror, well, ain't this cute? It's a highlight drove in hot pursuit. Pulls me to the side and says to me, I think we need to test your sobriety. Walk this line, put your finger on your nose, raise your right leg and stand on your toes. Better get you a lawyer, son, you just failed, and I'm taking you to the Stone County Jail.
Well, let's go into the albums. You have 4 albums that you've released, right?
Well, the last one was a compilation.
I got Dusty Ozark Road, released in 1991, Memory Highway 1992, Thank You for This Song 1993, and My Song 2001.
Right, that was a compilation. That just had a few songs off of each album.
You were really busy in the early 90s, and all the CDs are very well produced, and the musicianship is top.
You know, Timmy Crouch came in, played fiddle. I wouldn't have had anybody else. Gary Rounds, and that was 91. That was so long ago. That was so long ago, Gary Rounds had a dark beard. Yeah, that's been a long time ago.
Now he looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah, I know it, yeah. And Roger Gardner came in and played harmonica on some of the second and third album. But he didn't play on the first one. It was mostly bluegrass, you know. But Roger's a good musician, too. He really is.
Where did you record these?
Blue Mountain Studio, Timbo.
So then the next one begs the question. You wrote most of the lyrics and the music for most of the songs on these CDs. Where were you signed? By what label?
It was a publishing company.
Okay.
John Denny Music in Nashville. Denny Music, it's better known as Denny Music Group. And then Al Jolson, Black and White Music. They published 22 of my songs.
Did they?
Yeah. But they published a few of the songs that I just had rough demos on that I never even put on an album. Did out the studio, just rough demos, and they published those. But and then there's one called Food Stamp Day.
I love that one.
Nashville wouldn't touch. There was a company in Kansas City, Kansas, called Country Breeze Music, and they handle a lot of novelty songs. And I sent them that song, and they published it. Nobody ever recorded it, but they published it.
Whenever I play that, people love it.
I took my wife to the store one day where I came up with the idea for that song. And she was in the store, and this old station wagon pulled in beside of me. Had a bunch of kids in it. And they started piling in that car, and their dad, he started tearing these food stamps out of this book, handing each one of them one. And they'd run in the store, and they'd get a little bit of candy or something. They'd come back, and they'd hand change back to their dad. They did that 2 or 3 times. And I heard him tell his wife, well, we got enough to go to the beer store now. You know, it's a shame they abused the system like that. But they did.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do all that.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Well, all alone here I stand, off down the road you go. I'm at a total loss of words, 'cause why you would ever want to leave me, why, I just don't know. Why I'm so confused, there's only one thing that I can even think to say. Don't know why you would want to leave me, 'cause we were supposed to get our food stamps today. Oh, the cupboards are empty, the shelves are all bare. What you left in the fridge has grown a full head of hair. I miss those little coupons signed USDA. Why'd you go and leave me? It's food stamp.
We used to look forward to this day. We always had so much fun. Hitting every store in town, sending the kids in one at a time to get a soda pop and a honey bun. Why, with all that change they got back, we got our cigarette and our beer money that way. Still don't know why you'd want to leave me, 'cause we supposed to get our food stamps today. Oh, the cupboards are empty, the shelves are all bare. What you left in the fridge has grown a full head of hair. I miss those little coupon signs, USDA. Why'd you go and leave me? It's the food stamp Now my heart is broken, but to you it don't seem to matter. I guess you've forgotten how many years it took us to climb up to the top of that social service ladder. And regardless of what people around town might say, I am the one that gave you those 9 little kids to raise. Still don't know why you'd want to leave me, 'cause we're supposed to get our food stamps today. Oh, the cupboards are empty, the shelves are all bare. What you left in the fridge has grown a full head of hair. Kinda looks like your mother. I miss those little coupon sign USDA. Why'd you go and leave me? It's food stamp day. Why'd you go and leave me? It's food stamp day.
So, the music business, obviously, it's tough.
It
it's
is.
a tough nut to crack. And did you decide to go professional, or did you have a side gig going on while you were
No, I
waiting
never really
for
wanted
that
to
big-
go professional. I never wanted to leave Arkansas.
You never did?
No, I was just hoping I'd get a major cut on a major label, by a major artist. And
you
just
know
sit
what?
back and draw the money, But it never happened,
But you still could. You still could,
Yeah,
because you're so good.
I had a few of my songs cut. Joe plays one now that a friend of mine here in Mountain View, he and I wrote, and he did all the legwork on that one. A boy from down south of Texarkana, down in Texas somewhere, recorded it in San Antonio, a place called Saber Records in San Antonio, and it was released overseas for overseas airplay in Europe and that part of the world. And it got a lot of airplay over the way I understood. But the boy's name is Glenn Bailey, and the song is called I Walk in Charlie's Pride.
We'll end part 1 of my interview with Mikey Thompson by listening to I Walk in Charlie's Pride. This song is the one he co-wrote with Walter Morse, and it was performed by Glenn Bailey, and that received widespread airplay on European radio stations.
When Mama died, my world went wrong, my pa began to change. He'd drink and fight and lay around, just acting kinda strange. Then Daddy died when I was 10, and I got kinda mean. Then Uncle Charlie took me home, his ranch I'd never seen. Rebellion was my middle name, I fought all Charlie gave, but learned to do what Charlie did, though I wouldn't be his slave. I learned to break a wild range horse before I was 21, when I could ride like Charlie rode or rope the rising sun. Oh, Charlie was a cowboy, tough as leather shoes, cut a steer in a howling wind or bite barbed wire in two. But Charlie raised me to a man just walking at his side. Now every day and every way I walk in Charlie's pride. Last fall an awful storm blew in, we cattle in the hills. And Charlie said we got to ride, dead cows don't pay no bills. I rushed a ridge in a swirling snow, I couldn't see the cliff. So Charlie charged into my horse, the end came awful swift. Both horses fell 300 yards, but I was left above. Old Charlie fell end over end, folks said he died for love. I never got to tell him thanks for all the love I saw. But Lord, I cried when Charlie died, I'd never called him Pa. Oh, Charlie was a cowboy, tough as leather shoes. Cut a steer in a howling wind or bite barbed wire in two. But Charlie raised me to a man just walking at his side. Now every day and every way I walk in Charlie's pride. Yes, every day and every way I walk in